It's the highlight of the year for diabetes professionals around the world, providing the very latest cutting-edge advances in diabetes research, prevention, and care. This is the 81st American Diabetes Association Scientific Sessions, and you're watching ADA TV. It's Monday here at the 81st Scientific Sessions, and there's still plenty more exciting research to discover and best practices to share here at the virtual meeting. For our fourth episode, we've got an interview with Dr. Kristen Nadeau, who is this year's recipient of the Outstanding Scientific Achievement Award for her work looking at insulin resistance in youth.
We can think differently about the mechanisms underlying insulin resistance in order to get to the next step of developing new treatments.
And today, we'll travel the globe again in search of the very latest research into nutrition and the gut, including some potentially game-changing non-surgical interventions.
Patients and society deserve an option for better metabolic health to reverse disease as opposed to simply managing them.
And of course, find us on the front page of the meeting platform, on the ADA website, and on YouTube and Twitter. Now, over to Dr. Donna DeBalia to find out what's happening at the meeting today, Monday.
Welcome back. It is day 4 of the 81st ADA Scientific Sessions. Here are my highlights for today. Starting at 8 a.m. sharp, an ADA EASD consensus report session on management of type 1 diabetes in adults. There is a need for guidelines regarding diagnosis, treatment, self-management education, and psychosocial care that are specific to this age group, including knowledge gaps and future needs in research. The day is Monday, so the ADA presents its National Scientific and Healthcare Achievement Awards in a not-to-be-missed ceremony at 10:10 a.m., followed immediately by the Outstanding Scientific Achievement Award lecture delivered this year by my colleague and friend from the University of Colorado, Dr. Kristen Nadeau, a pioneer in the field of pediatric type 2 diabetes research and clinical care. Then we end the day with the much anticipated results of the glycemia reduction approaches in diabetes, or the GRADE study. GRADE is a multi-center NIH-sponsored comparative effectiveness clinical trial comparing the metabolic and other outcomes of 4 of the most commonly used drugs to treat type 2 diabetes when added to metformin. So stay tuned to hear the much anticipated findings today at 4:30. I hope that you're enjoying our program, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all virtually at these sessions.
In our first feature, taking a close look at everything gut-related, let's take a look at the science behind an exciting new therapy prospect, duodenal mucosal resurfacing.
All of the therapies that we have today are focused on trying to control the symptoms of the disease, which is high blood sugar, rather than the disease itself.
Gastric bypass has really laid the foundation for the treatment of metabolic diseases.
When the duodenum is excluded, all these benefits appear and all these complications from metabolic disease reverse.
We've been focused on developing technologies that will allow us to control the critical metabolic control organs.
The DMR procedure is an endoscopic hydroablation that is performed in a little under an hour.
We really are looking forward to the prospective multi-center sham-controlled trial.
It may result in insulin independence for patients.
Patients deserve an option for better metabolic health to reverse disease as opposed to simply managing them.
The Scientific Sessions Meeting Planning Committee is responsible for developing challenging and exciting program content that reaches across diverse disciplines to teach lessons of relevance to diabetes. Thank you to this year's Scientific Sessions Meeting Planning Committee. Now for another non-surgical procedure for diabetes. Allevetix Medical is working on a new reversible procedure that mimics the main effects of the gastric bypass. Let's take a look.
The global and US burden of diabetes and obesity is enormous, About 422 million people worldwide have diabetes, and 1.6 million deaths are directly caused by diabetes each year. 34.2 million Americans, just over 1 in 10, suffer from overt diabetes, and 88 million American adults, approximately 1 in 3, have pre-diabetes.
Now, Allevetix Medical has developed a proprietary technology, the Nobix system, an outpatient, minimal-risk procedure that is non-surgical, reversible, and 5 times cheaper than bariatric surgery.
The Nobix system is the future treatment for type 2 diabetes and obesity. It's a novel implant made of a highly flexible sleeve and a ring-shaped positioning element. By inserting the flexible sleeve into the duodenum, a barrier is created between the food bolus and the duodenal wall. This prevents caloric absorption and delays contact with the bile fluids as a segment of the bowel. The bypass initiates a type of metabolic restart, allowing our patients to self-recover from type 2 diabetes, regain their metabolic balance, and cut their insulin dose.
The Nobix system has the potential to cause a huge paradigm shift in the management of obesity and uncontrolled diabetes.
Still to come, an interview with Dr. Kristen Nadeau, the Outstanding Scientific Achievement Award recipient. Now, though, let's look at the role of nutrition on the gut microbiome with DayTwo.
DayTwo, the world's largest microbiome discovery platform, has developed a precision nutrition solution that offers a sustainable path to remission from metabolic disease using gut profiling, artificial intelligence, and virtual care.
The algorithm that we developed is based on hundreds of thousands of individuals for which we coupled the gut microbiome to actual blood glucose responses to food. It can tailor the response and predict an individual's blood glucose response to any food or food combination.
We use the highest resolution microbiome analysis available, full shotgun metagenomic sequencing, to derive individual food prescriptions. After the stool sample is analyzed, the results are put through DayTwo's integrated dietary algorithm. Each patient's individual results are then scored and populated in a digital app with over 1 million food, grocery items, and restaurant meals.
What's the future of the gut microbiome as a discovery platform for disease? The possibilities are major.
The more you participate, the more you could win. You'll receive points for each area you visit on the site. So, the more active you are, the more points you'll earn. The attendee who earns the most points will receive complimentary meeting registration to next year's meeting. With more on nutrition now, let's hear from Nestlé Health Science. Let's go to Virginia now, where Pendulum is using their cutting-edge microbiome research to provide new diabetes therapies.
Diabetes is a huge problem in both the US and globally and is growing at rates that are unprecedented. And we realize that there's an opportunity here in a moment where we really need to step in with new ideas and new approaches to the disease. Pendulum Therapeutics is an early-stage startup company focusing on the opportunity of the microbiome, which is this new emerging science around the bacteria and viruses and fungi that reside in our bodies. Pendulum Glucose Control is the first realization of our vision that we could create products that target the microbiome that can help people with specific diseases. One of the things that we have done differently here at Pendulum is that we've approached this from the ground up. We have the clinical trials to back the product. And so if you have type 2 diabetes or you have prediabetes and you're looking to improve the way your body metabolizes sugar, there is no other product that was designed that is clinically proven to deliver.
Visit adameetingnews.org, the meeting's official online news source, to make sure you don't miss any of the groundbreaking science at the virtual 81st Scientific Sessions. Check back for hourly updates at adameetingnews.org or via the Meeting News button in the Scientific Sessions app. Coming next, our interview with Dr. Kristen Nadeau, looking at insulin resistance in youth. But first, the latest in continuous glucose monitoring. It's WaveForm Diabetes.
At WaveForm Diabetes, we deliver convenient, connected, and affordable diabetes solutions to make people's lives better.
Our CGM system is unique and novel in that it does not employ a needle. It's very comfortable to wear and to insert. It also has the longest use life in the market. Our system is now approved in Europe for 15 days of use life.
Our primary interest is really creating something that will benefit people on a day-to-day basis.
Every patient can benefit by a continuous glucose monitor. Today, very few can afford it. Over time, we expect that we'll be able to get CGM out to the masses.
You see the sense of relief people have when they use this kind of a system because they are empowered. It opens up their lives.
It is now my great pleasure to be joined by Dr. Kristen Nadeau, recipient of the 2021 Outstanding Scientific Achievement Award. Thank you so much for being here. I want to say congratulations to you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Let's look back. How did you begin looking at insulin resistance in youth, and what was known about the mechanisms behind it at the time? And if you can talk about how you feel you've contributed.
I started by working in the lab with Dr. Boris Drasnin, and we looked at the bench at cell culture and looking at mechanisms of fat deposition and how that was related to insulin resistance. And at the time, we thought that people with type 1 diabetes were insulin deficient but not insulin resistant. But as I moved to working on clinical research and understanding more what was going on with youth with diabetes, realized that kids with type 1 diabetes were actually very insulin resistant as well, but with really different mechanisms. And so that's what I moved into then, is trying to understand how the kids with type 1 diabetes were different from those with type 2.
What drives you to do this work? Why is understanding the complications associated with diabetes in youth getting increasingly more important?
So I'm Prairie Band Potawatomi on my father's side. And when I went into medicine, I wanted to do something that was important to the American Indian population and chose diabetes because it affects our people to such a large degree. And so that's what really drives me.
What can attendees expect from your talk at the meeting?
What I'd like to talk about at the meeting is some myths that I think are blocking us from preventing cardiovascular disease and complications in diabetes, and ways that we can think differently about the mechanisms underlying insulin resistance in order to get to the next step of developing new treatment.
Well, thanks again for joining us, and best of luck for the future in this exciting work.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
That's our last interview with one of this year's very worthy award winners. Remember, you can catch the full-length versions of all of those interviews by clicking through on the meeting platform, on the ADA website, and on YouTube and Twitter. But we're back tomorrow with one final show as the 81st Scientific Sessions heads into Tuesday. We'll speak to Tracy Brown, ADA CEO, about the current priorities for the association, and head for one more around-the-world trip looking at everything from regenerative tissue products to insulin resistance-inspired Alzheimer's drugs. We'll see you tomorrow.